had a lot more to do with Wall Street specifically. So Lehman Brothers, I think that's another one that got a lot of press and folks are probably aware of. And a lot of the other banks that have been in distress are kind of a symptom of what's going on in the economy, not so much the real problem in its core. So I think it really all does come back to what do we think 2009 holds in store, and what can we do to help make our way through it. I think that's a lot of what folks are going to be talking about for the rest of the afternoon. But we think 2009 is going to continue to be a recession. We think we'll continue to have less productivity in the economy in 2009. But we think that by the end of 2009, we're going to begin to be working our way out of it. We think that there is enough steam in the economy, enough demand from the economy both in the United States and from economies outside the United States that we'll be able to kind of grow our way out of this by the end of 2009. And that means credit will begin to loosen up. That means unemployment will begin to come down, which affects everybody. And that probably means the housing market also begins to stabilize. So we don't think 2009 is going to be an easy year. We don't think it's going to be as bad as 2008, but it's still going to be one where we need to tighten our belts and be smart about the decisions we make, the investments we make, whatever, wherever you're making decisions. But we do see a light at the end of the tunnel, and we don't think there's going to be a depression. So I think it's really about battening down the hatches now and then seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, which we do.
I know that there's a belief that there's usually 7 good years, 7 bad years. Would you say we're at the end of the 7 years?
It depends. It depends on how you look at it. I mean, if anybody follows the stock market hasn't made money for the last 10 years. 10 years, the stock market, if you invested $1 10 years ago, today, you'd have $1. You would have gone up, and then you'd be back down again. So you could actually make a case that it's all up from here.
Right. That's the point I'm trying to make. Right. Mm-hmm. That I want to agree.
And that's and I think that's probably an important thing to focus on, because we do think that there are reasons why the stock market is interesting right now. But another thing to keep in mind is that the economy and the markets are two different things. So the economy can be in not so good shape, and the stock market can be in really good shape. Or think about this time last year. We didn't think anything was wrong with really the economy, but the stock market was already beginning to go down. So it's not always, they don't always go in tandem, but it's a really good point.
You said that Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers, where are all these people going to get jobs if all these companies lay off all these workers, even the city workers? So where do these jobs get created? Because these men in suits don't know how to build bridges.
Right. No, you're right. And what ends up happening, and look, we saw this in 2000 and 2001 after the internet bubble and 9/11, which was also a very difficult time in our industry. When we're in a period like this, there's no deals getting done on Wall Street. There's no IPOs. The companies aren't getting bought and sold. So there just isn't, that kind of work isn't there. When things stabilize, that work and that level of activity comes back. So firms fire people, they hire people back. It's happened in every cycle, and over time, that's part of, at least as it relates to Wall Street, that's a little bit of how Wall Street operates. If you have an industry that's going away completely, like you could say maybe the auto industry, that's maybe a little tougher, right? That's an industry in this country that's been shrinking for years. So an auto worker is probably going to have a lot harder time finding a job even a couple of years from now than somebody on Wall Street.
But the banks took over, and the stock market's not going to be like these companies now are regulated, they became banks. So a lot of these positions are eliminated.
It's a little different than that. We can talk a little bit about it offline if you want to, but it's I can explain to you my views at least. But there's reason to be hopeful. We probably should let other folks speak, and then we're going to save questions, I think, for the end. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you so much. Yes, there's going to be, if you indulge us a little bit, we have so many wonderful speakers that have so many great things to say to all of you. We're going to try to keep the questions and answers for the end, unless there's something really, really pertinent to what they're speaking about. Let's hold those questions. I want to take a minute to thank Pomegranate, our fabulous new grocery store on Ocean Park. Coney Island Avenue, I wish it was Ocean Parkway. But I'll take Coney Island Avenue, it's got a parking lot, you all know, I'm sure you've all seen it. They were so generous, and as you all know, you are here with a free lunch, no entry fee, valet parking to those of you who got here early, and everything is free, and it's all because of Pomegranate, and they have been wonderful, and they really deserve your time. And you might be wondering why Ladies Angel Network, which is an organization based on learning how to save your money and spend it wisely, why would we align ourselves with a store like Pomegranate? Well, I have news for you. Pomegranate, we did some comparison shopping, and Pomegranate is actually very competitive with all the other grocers that you know of in our community, and we would love it if you would take the time and go over there and check them out. In fact, we're going to be hosting an event at Pomegranate. The date is to be announced, but we'd love it if you want to sign up for it. We're bringing in a professional grocery shopping consultant who's going to take us through Pomegranate aisle by aisle and teach us exactly how to shop the most economical way we can. How do we, I'm sure you all know that if you go there hungry, you will buy more than if you go there with a full stomach, but did you know that if you shop in a counterclockwise direction, you will save at least 10%? There's a lot of things that the professional shopping consultant can teach us that we just didn't know. So I encourage you all to sign up for that program. It's coming very soon. Okay. Now, on a little bit more serious note, there's something else. I'm sure all of you saw this outside. This is the Susie Orman. Does everybody here know who Susie Orman is? Susie Orman has a great show on cable. I think it's CNBC. She speaks plain English. She's an unbelievable person. She shoots straight from the hip. She tells you exactly what's going on. She lays it on the line for you. And we are selling this book. I think it retails for $10. We're selling it for $5 just for getting our money back. We're not making any money on this. But it's something that I really believe that all of you can read inside of a day or two. I want to read you a small passage just from the end that I think is very encouraging before we introduce our next speaker.